Hi, it's Chris Grimm, and it's Deep Work Fast. And every Wednesday, for 20 minutes or less, I bring you some ideas to think about, maybe address some things that I think many people are already thinking and talking about. And today is one of those. So you may have noticed, it would be amazing if you hadn't seen it at least once, that there is a theme, a hashtag, a topic that's been going around for a bit now, and it's called growth mindset. And I've noticed that many of our clients have adopted that as sometimes a corporate value. So it's become common. Like I said, it's a hashtag, friends. So people are referring to it all the time. The original idea, I'm going to give credit to Dr. Carol Dweck in her book, which Heather, Mission Control, is going to put in the chat for you if you're unfamiliar with it. It's called The Growth Mindset, where it's not a long book, by the way, and she has a TED Talk. I think she's a professor at Stanford. Don't know. I should know that. Anyway, growth mindset, let's just break it down because some people ask me about it in coaching, specifically when they've been accused of not having it. So let's get down to why this matters. And part of growth mindset, right? First of all, the opposite of it is having a fixed mindset. And what does that mean in real life? Well, if you don't have it, and people are saying you don't have a growth mindset, it probably means that you could be either fully rejecting new ideas, change, mostly probably around topics and issues that you're protective of. Maybe your group is being asked to change, maybe processes are changing, maybe new technology has been adopted and it's changing everything that you do. This is a common conversation. And when people start to resist what is happening and can't get the new thinking in some way, like they either fully reject it and say, I'm never doing that. That's happening, by the way. I get to coach people, so I know. If it's you, that's not helpful. One, it's not a great career move, as you probably know. But in the near term, it's not great because if that's the thinking, right, if it's fixed thinking is your normal way of approaching things at home or at work, it is going to create most likely conflict. It'll cause people to passive aggressively go around you. There's a whole bunch of downstream effects that you don't want and that you could be experiencing. So I wanted this week to pick a fundamental piece of growth mindset. There are a lot of parts of it. If you check out the book, and then Heather, thank you. Also put the infographic that I sent you on there so that everybody, if you don't get to read the book really quickly, the infographic is fantastic. I didn't create it, by the way. So kudos to whoever did. That gives you an outline of that. Okay, so today I want to focus in on one fundamental principle, which is being open. Now, you've heard the topic open-minded before. It means the opposite of being closed-minded or rejecting things. So let's talk about what is not so obvious about this. So first of all, because we seem to be in a never-ending changes here. It seems to be never ending everywhere I go, right? We have one change initiative and then the next one and then the next one, whether they're calling it transformation or not. I feel like it's just kind of a part of everyone's life now at home and work. Sometimes it's growth related, like we're doing it on purpose. Sometimes, we're reacting to it, which means something else is forcing us to change. Regardless, it seems endless. And what I like to do is say you should think about it as waves, because most likely you're getting change in waves, or it's all coming at the same time and you have a lot going on. Regardless, this principle of having an open mind is critical for your not just career, but your mental and emotional and physical health. So I wanted to give you some tips so that if you need to have a more open mind more often, and I don't think there's a person here who couldn't use this advice, myself included. Here's what you can do. So first of all, you need to have the intention and maybe even set some goals for yourself. If you've been given feedback that you are not open-minded, that you feel and look like you're defensive or resistant. And like I was saying, it's really easy to be open-minded when whatever we're talking about doesn't really impact us a lot. So think about that, right? I can be easygoing and really, really open-minded when someone's telling me about something that's impacting them, their team, their family, their life. I might empathize, I might sympathize, but I don't really have to worry about having an open mind about it because I don't feel threatened in any way. So this is the key, is that you need to start to understand what you're worried about, and don't just let it go around in your head. I would love for you to be curious about it. Take some time. If you're not a normal journaler, some people journal, some people do not. If you're not a journaler, you might just want to schedule some time and just make a list of the things that you're concerned about, things that maybe you're afraid of losing. Maybe you are projecting that as your company is making change, that your job's going to change. Maybe you know because you've already been told that sooner or later that's going to happen. With all of that sitting out there in front of you, near term or long term, chances are that's going to make you worried. And if you're fearful and worried, we tend to restrict, right? Like we pull in, we constrict. And that often makes it so that when we're in the one-on-one conversation with your partner, your spouse, your child, your boss, your employee, your vendor, whatever, if you know the change is coming and you're afraid of it, you're going to be challenged to keep your mind open about everything, right? Because you have all those worries that you've been thinking about. And those worries could most likely be projecting out the worst case scenario there. So having an open mind means first knowing what it is that you are concerned about enough that it could constrict you, right? Like, I'm going to resist this. I'm already resisting it. I can kind of feel it. I have a lot of worrisome ideas, and finding a safe space to put that. That's why I mentioned journaling, by the way. So even though I know a lot of people don't like to, maybe journal in a journal book, there are apps that you can do that, or even the notes section of your phone, if you can keep that private and you don't want other people to just see your processing thoughts. It's a good place for you to start to see it so that your logical mind can start to have a space to put that. You don't have to say it out loud to everybody all the time. Because when we are verbalizing our concerns, when we are verbalizing our resistance, when we're verbalizing our worries, the other people around you, specifically the people who maybe it's their job to drive the change, or they need it to change and they need you and your team, or maybe in your family, they need you to help them make a decision to support a change. When they hear you processing out loud the concerns, the rejections, the resistance, the argument against it, some of the time that will make them think that you're closed when maybe you're just processing, right? So you need a safe space to put that. And once you find a place to put those thoughts, instead of just verbalizing it to everyone, I almost just said verbal diarrhea. I don't know why that came out, but I know people who have it, and I'm sure you do too. Don't do that. Find a space to put it. Then be curious about it. And what I mean by that is that's you saying to yourself, let me give myself some space to be curious about something here. Like, what in this issue, what in this change, what in this decision, whatever the situation is that maybe you're feeling closed about and resistant to, being curious helps you find what you can be open to. Like, what parts of this am I not so worried about? That I actually am okay with what other people might be deciding or making change. So you start to sort it, because most likely it's not everything. It's probably a few things that you really, really care about. So being curious, giving yourself the safe space to find that is really, really important. Also, starting to understand where there's possibility will also be really helpful. If you don't know how to add possibility thinking into your thinking, like maybe you are highly linear, or you don't feel like in the past you've had time for that, I recommend you consider this. Thank you, Heather. I think she's already put the book in there. There's another book I would recommend to you. It's not a new book. It's been around for a long time. It's called The Art of Possibility by Rosamund and Ben Zander, husband and wife. He's a conductor of an orchestra. It's a great read. But they talk about the idea of possibility and being open to what could be. And I really feel like possibility thinking is the best kind of open-mindedness. It doesn't mean, by the way, so what I am not saying, because some people knew I was taking this topic this week. Sorry, my voice. Some people saw my blog on Monday, and immediately, because I had coaching sessions with them in the last 2 days, they said, "You're not going to try and tell us that we have to be open to every stupid idea." One person actually said that. Another person said, "What about politics? What about extreme issues?" And I said, "That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the interactions that you have every day to get things done with other people in your home and in work. That's what I'm here for. And I want you to be the best at that. And the more closed you are to that, the more, I promise, conflict you're going to have. Also, this is the fundamental principle in collaboration. Another topic that I have talked about before, and I will continue to talk about, that most people don't understand. Most people think collaboration is a transaction, right? Okay, I'm going to share resources with those people, or I'm going to listen to their ideas more, or maybe we're going to integrate a piece of something. True collaboration requires a constant, a consistent openness in the way you interact with people, so that they trust that you're going to listen no matter what they propose. Even if you don't agree, they still have the space that they can bring it to you, and you can bring it to them, right? So true collaboration and partnership isn't just old transactional teamwork, like we get together, we agree on action items, everybody goes their own way and does it. The collaboration we need today, because so many in work, right? You've seen it. There's so many teams that are working cross-functionally and require true collaboration across a department or a team or a functions line. And also, what you probably have noticed in your home is that the more complex the decision you have to make, the more the people in your family care about something, the more they want to be a part of decision making, which means probably more discussions than you want to have. But like I said, the quality of those depend on everybody around the table having the openness, right? Having the growth mindset, not a fixed rejection, immediately like, don't even go there with me approach. And I will say, I've talked about this before, as the workplace evolves and as our families evolve, because this is happening, we have created generations of people who are functioning in very different ways than many of us have for a long time. Because many of us were brought up in families and in the workplace where hierarchy was normal. And in many tech organizations, but also now in other industries, we're seeing organizations that are flatter. We're seeing more teamwork. We're seeing a lot of organizations taking on what used to be something I only saw in agencies, which is teams with permeable membranes, where people go by topic, issue, initiative, project, or they can switch teams, contribute, and then move. So as we move into the future, and we see more of that, and we all start or continue functioning as like a big network, like a big community where hierarchy isn't always the thing in control. Well, you've got to listen more, and you've got to listen differently, and your brain has to be, and your body have to be open, and you have to at least be curious about what people are saying so that they don't go around you. So that you don't become the grumpy old man or woman that nobody talks to, and then they end up making decisions and you find out later. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. I don't want to be that person. I don't want you to be that person. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's happening, right? This endless change and transformation that we're all experiencing on all different levels, seemingly in our personal and in our work lives, like that's not going to go away. In fact, I think it's going to be more. I can't even imagine that being more, but I think it's going to be more. And I think it might continue to accelerate. And if that's true, it means this growth mindset idea is not a luxury. And I don't think it's optional, to be honest. I think everyone needs to adopt some of these principles. So I'm just asking you to start with a simple first step, which is decide you want to be more open. Explore the issues that you know you're not open about or you're afraid of, or that you might resist when the change is presented to you or the decision. And start to go deeply curious into that so that you can see, where can I be open? What can I learn? How can I really listen to people? How can I contribute to this change instead of being a roadblock? That is open-mindedness. I wrote a blog on Monday. I referenced it before. Heather's already put it in the chat. Thank you, Mission Control. Awesome. I would die without Heather. Takes 2 minutes to read that. I give you a whole bunch of tips because today I only mentioned a few. The links to the books are also in the chat. Again, my goal is to help you be the best that you can be at work and at home. This is not easy, the world that we're in at the moment. And so I got you. I will see you next week for Deep Work Fast. Check out the blog, get the books. Let's go.